You knew that one big rule you always hear in language classes? The English-only rule? Well, what if that rule was actually the single biggest thing getting in the way of learning? Today, we're going to talk about a revolutionary idea that's flipping language education on its head, all by tapping into a student's greatest hidden resource.
I mean, really think about that for a second. It sounds completely backward, doesn't it? For ever, the approach has been super strict. When you're in this classroom, it's English and only English. But what if that's the very thing that's been holding students back?
Picture this. You've got this brilliant student, right? Their mind is buzzing with complex, amazing ideas, but they're stuck. It's like there's an invisible wall in front of them. They know the answer, but they just can't find the words in English. And why? Because the one tool they use for all their other thinking, their home language, has been banned. That, right there, is the English-only wall. So yeah, for way too long, this English-only mindset has treated a student's native language like it's some kind of interference, a problem that needs to be silenced. But what if we've had it all wrong? I mean, completely backward. Turns out, modern research shows us there's a much, much better way. So, how do we tear down that wall? How do we break through? Well, we do it by unlocking the entire brain. Instead of asking students to work with one hand tied behind their back, we invite them to use their full cognitive toolkit. And that brings us to a real game changer of a concept. And that concept is called translanguaging. Now let's be super clear here. This is not about giving up on English. It's actually the exact opposite. It's about strategically using a student's entire linguistic toolbox, every single language, dialect, and word they know to build a stronger, more solid bridge to English proficiency. And this slide right here, this is the real aha moment. See, the old, outdated view thought of languages as being stored in separate little boxes in the brain. But we now know that's not how the brain works at all. The modern view shows us that all our languages form one big, interconnected system. So that means your home language isn't some kind of crutch holding you back. It's a power tool for building a much stronger foundation in English.
Okay, so this all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in a real classroom? How do you use this amazing tool without everything just turning into chaos? Well, it's all about being intentional and strategic.
And this is absolutely crucial. This isn't a free-for-all, not at all. It's a very structured and purposeful approach. Teachers create these specific moments for students to use their home language as a scaffold, a temporary support to help them grasp a really complex idea. And the end goal is always clear, to produce a final piece of work, whether it's an essay or a presentation, entirely in English. So let's get practical. Let's actually step into the classroom and see what this looks like. This is where the theory really comes to life, and honestly, it's pretty amazing to see. We're going to check out 3 specific activities that show translanguaging in action. First up, we've got brainstorming. We all know what that's like. The main goal here is to just get the ideas flowing, the richest, most creative ideas possible, without that initial hurdle of having to find the perfect English word right away. Okay, so let's say the topic is something big, like climate change. A student might quickly jot down the Arabic word for heat, harara, because that's the word that comes to mind. They get all their complex thoughts out on paper first. Then the magic happens. As a whole class, they work together to build a shared English vocabulary from all those initial ideas, coming up with words like heat waves, pollution, and renewable energy. And here's the key takeaway. The final English product isn't just okay, it's actually richer. And why is that? It's because the initial thinking wasn't trapped or limited by language. They got to access their deepest knowledge first. All right, next up is an activity that does something incredibly important. It creates a direct connection between a student's personal identity and their culture and their journey learning English. So for example, a student from Morocco might share a proverb like al-aql zina. They'd explain that it literally translates to something like, the mind is a person's beauty. And then the whole class gets to discuss not just the words, but the cultural values and ideas behind them. It's this incredible moment of cultural exchange and deep linguistic thinking, all rolled into one. And this really gets to the heart of it all. You're not just teaching vocabulary. You're sending this incredibly powerful message to every student. Who you are, where you come from, it has value in this room. And that feeling of affirmation, it's a massive catalyst for learning. Okay, one last example. How do you tackle a really dense, complicated academic text? You know the kind I'm talking about. This is where a classic method called the jigsaw gets a translanguaging upgrade. It's this brilliant 2-step process. First, students get into their home groups, and they can use any language they need to really wrestle with the text and make sure they completely understand their section. The pressure is off. But then they regroup into expert groups. Now their challenge is to teach their section to everyone else using only English.
What's so smart about this is that the heavy lifting, the actual understanding of the content, is done first. They've already mastered the material, so now the task is purely about communicating that knowledge in English. It separates the two challenges, which makes the whole process so much more manageable and, honestly, way more effective.
So when you put all of this together, when you see it all in motion, the impact is it's profound. We're moving away from an education system that's built on limits and restrictions, and we're moving toward one that embraces the whole entire learner.
And this is exactly why it all matters so much. Students are more engaged because they can think more deeply. Really challenging subjects suddenly become accessible. And maybe most critically, it validates their identities, creating classrooms where everyone feels seen and valued. And the best part? This doesn't slow down English learning. It builds a stronger, faster, and much more meaningful bridge to real fluency.
Ultimately, what translanguaging teaches us is that our languages aren't a bunch of separate boxes, but a single, incredibly powerful toolkit. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? This idea isn't just for the classroom. How can all of us stop compartmentalizing our skills and start using our full linguistic abilities to learn, to create, and to solve problems better in every part of our lives? Thanks for thinking about it with us today.